Are you ready for the evolution of video cables?
Who's not?
From 1981 to present. Let's step through it.
All right, going through a few decades here.
So first off, video standard 1981 CGA, whopping 4 colors.
That was the green screen days. The green, the
the
black.
green and the black. Which funny piece is I actually can remember playing on a desktop of that caliber. But I say caliber because the game was fun, even though it was in 2 colors.
It was Oregon Trail. It was Oregon Trail.
I can't actually remember what it was called. I had a whole bunch of H's. You kind of made a pattern to unlock this thing. Like, it was interesting. I played it in my grandpa's house.
Oh. Yes.
A whopping 320 by 200 resolution.
Sadly enough, I actually can remember that was the pixeled screens. Hardcore, yes.
It is before our time, but it is the first color screens that are standardized for the IBM PC.
Yes, that 81 rolling into just slightly later when you got to like 84, and then you got the enhanced, the EGA. 16 colors now. 64 when they were blinking like
this is the moment in time
craziness.
where Excel sheets finally start to look like an Excel sheet. Not in Excel software, mind you, they're just spreadsheets. We got it. We know that Office wasn't there, but you kind of get to utilize and see text and the different line separators. We're not just looking at those 4 colors now.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the graphs. Like the first spreadsheets, actually, when you really were looking at graphs, you could change the color slightly of them. They said 16 colors, but man, it was basically your 8. Here's your 8.
And it was
you had
it was
4 main colors with a slight fade off of them.
Yeah. Now we move further forward in time. We get to 1987, is where VGA becomes the standard, and that standard, of course, hangs out. It's not the standard later on, but it hangs out even to modern day.
Yes, servers is the main place you're going to see your VGAs. I will say those have not changed much, but I mean, for a 640 by 480, you don't need huge resolution. It's more or less get something started, get it up and going.
And now you're at that 256 colors, which is amazing.
You can actually see color difference, though. This is the first one where I can actually tell you there is a color difference.
You can actually take and kind of make some pictures here. Like, not like modern art, but like, hey, I can tell that you're trying to make a picture of a person.
You dark grays, medium grays, light grays, for all you colorblind electricians out there.
It also moves now from the original 9-pin connector to a 15-pin connector.
Yep.
The VGA connector, again, has been around for decades. It's of course has evolved. Originally, it was just for that 640 by 480 resolution, but we saw it kind of move on. But before it got enhanced.
Yes, before you went to the Super VGA, you had the nice little S video.
Our slightly unloved friend.
It was not around that long. It was not very popular.
It was fragile.
Very fragile. A few TV consoles. This is when you start seeing the PCs kind of connect to the TVs for monitors.
And you'd
very
find it
select
in like
field.
You'd find it in certain builds. It was never like highly adopted.
Yeah, highly adopted would be way out there. It was one of those your JVC, your camcorders and stuff like that. There's a few little things that you would see. I can't remember some.
You could find it on some like room conference cameras. You'd see it actually on some of those.
Cameras.
If they're old enough and you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. For those that don't know what S video looks like, it's a roundish plug, 4 pins. It's got a square little block. Yeah, U-shaped.
The U-shaped.
You could only plug it in one way as well.
Yeah.
But it allowed obviously a little bit enhanced color. But it wasn't. They say it was popularized. It wasn't really that popular. Quite frankly, even in the VCR technologies and DVD, yeah, exactly, VCRs. That's how old this thing is they still relied upon composite and component, which we're not even going to dive into those standards today. But
yeah. So you go back from the 87 with the VGA into the early 90s, 92, 93, and that's when you got that super VGA. Now you got that 1024 by 768. You actually got a true high def.
You can actually get all the way up to 1280 by 1024 and beyond.
They said beyond.
But quite frankly, most of the standards at that point in time didn't push much for video resolution.
No.
Still keeping with analog video signal, though. We're not even touching into digital standards yet.
Still had all your good colors. You still had your 256 colors, sharper picture, sharper image. I would say this one was actually more reliable.
100%. This is what the VGA today that you kind of see is similarly based on, because it's a better resolution. Now, mind you, They claimed you could push over 2000 by 1500 pixels, but it didn't work all the time.
That was in theory. One of those, it works in theory.
Yeah, we can simulate it in the lab, but by the time you get it to the desk,
With this one screen, this one computer, this one time, we got to work once, so it does do it.
It flickered on. It counts. Still counts. Now, in about the 1990, 99 type era, we then see the introduction of DVI, initially analog.
Yes, the original DVI analog, good interface. This was your, I'm going to say, better quality picture. This was what most people, when they start seeing computers, still use today somehow. Don't know how, but
it's another one of those slightly finicky connectors. I've always found that the blade on the connector tends to not get aligned, and it's fun to see techs or users shove it in there and see what it has. Fun fact for anybody out there is with DVI, you actually could push audio, not analog, but audio through the cable if you were using a specific adapter to go to HDMI. You could actually get it through, and that was in DVI-I and DVI-D.
That was actually something I did not know. Never have I ever tried to push audio through a DVI cable. That thought has never crossed my mind.
It's one of those pieces where even in the tech world, it was used so seldom that it's not like top of mind for anybody. Oh, can I actually do that? Because it's known today as just a video standard, and it's one of those ones that will slowly fade out as we enter to these other areas.
Which is where that DVI now, you go to the DVI Dual Link or the DVI-D Dual Link. Those are kind of both, in my mind, grouped together at the same time. Higher qualities, better links. You got more into the gaming. This is when you start seeing those gaming consoles really coming up.
And you get compatibility with the newer displays that are coming out in the 2000s.
Yes. This is better picture, better quality, more reliability. Still something that you still see all of them today.
Never adopted highly for TVs or that, though. TVs around that era were keeping with the VGA standard, still keeping their composites and components as well. Yeah. Now, on the PC standards, coming up next was the initial onset of HDMI in 2000,
which is what everybody still sees.
Yeah, they still see it. Of course, it has evolved over time, but this is 1.0. It comes out, it can go up to 1080p, and becomes kind of really the standard that starts taking over and really replacing VGA as we get to modern day.
Yes. So with your HDMI, it's the one that I'd say pretty much everybody, any device you buy, your laptops, your computers, any new Blu-ray, DVD players, game consoles, you're going to see HDMI one. The first one, 1080p was guaranteed. That was the one thing I will say is that they all are 1080p, and they're all a very small, crystal clear connector. Good things. The earlier ones, I would say a little more bendable, flexible. They didn't really.
Don't buy the fat cables because a lot of times you'll break the connector before the
guaranteed. Cable. Yeah, they were good for their times.
Yeah, the other piece that came out with HDMI was the idea of HDCP or content protection, which anybody in the space that's trying to push media or trying to push it to multiple screens absolutely hated. I still hate it today, and I get the purpose of it, but it's one of those pieces where it becomes a roadblock when you're trying to build conference rooms and you're trying to get it to go multiple places. It's not that you're trying to pirate or steal that or broadcast it to the world here. It's just you're trying to take and make a room that's very accessible, and it gets in the way in that regard.
So moving forward from 2001 or 2002 up to the 2006, the mid-2000s, DisplayPort 1.1, fixing all those little problems like the daisy chain.
Yeah, you can actually daisy chain monitors at this point in time, something that no other standard had really introduced. Yes, you could introduce splitters, but now daisy chaining allowed you to take and actually push multiple video streams through there so you could have your multiple monitors and really clean up your cables on some of these pieces.
That was the highlight of the 1.1 is that, still the flimsy cable, still not the best. So, 1080p, I'm not going to say it was a bad cable, but at least the daisy chain was the big change from 1.0 to 1.1.
Yeah. And of course, introducing the DP connector,
Yes.
Built on that. Very, very high resolution connector. And we also see DisplayPort used today and advancing as well. Now, moving from 2006, though, onward to 2008, this is where we start to see that shift in HDMI from 1.0 to 1.3 and 1.4 coming out, giving us more resolution. This is stepping up to our 4K at 30 hertz. Still room for improvement, obviously, from there. But this introduces 3D support as well.
Yes. Yes, yes. The true, what they call true HD, the true high def. You got cleaner pictures, 3D support, high def images. This is what most people, I would say, out there recognize, remember, see. You still see
This is
very
still
common.
heavily used.
Heavily
I mean,
used still.
like
Yeah.
even though HDMI 2.0 is out today, and that you still see devices with the 1.3 standard. It's very common. Even some of the game consoles are still putting that on. They're not your PS5s where they're trying to push the 4K and the 8K.
Yeah.
But you also see the introduction of like Dolby Digital Audio being pushed through the cable, because again, that's something that came with the HDMI standard. Is the idea that audio is always pushed and always capable on the cable.
Obviously, this is the point where we started doing the audio in the HDMIs. Is like now it's standard. I don't think people even think back to plugging in the RCA 3.5 or the 1/4 inch jack. Like now, from 2008 on, everything's gonna be built in pretty well into your video cable. It's just
Even though it came out originally in 2002 with the original standard to be able to push audio, even back then, most people were still relying upon the 3.5s. I can remember back in the early 2000s where it was still very popular to say, hey, I'm going to put this audio card in because, quite frankly, audio capabilities on motherboards at the time, they were terrible.
Or you buy the receiver, the secondary sound source. Yeah, that was...
Yeah, how to get it out there.
How to get a good sound quality. 2008 with the HDMI 1.3, 1.4, it was all pretty well fixed from there on out.
Now in 2011, we see the introduction of Thunderbolt.
Good, bad, the ugly on that one.
The good, the bad, the ugly. But now we're seeing the capability to push up to 10 gigabit per second. This is not just a standard that is used for video. It's actually, we touch on it even in our USB episode. But Thunderbolt is a standard that combines PCI capabilities, DisplayPort, data, power, everything into one cable.
Yeah. The good thing about this one is this is where Macs and PCs start coming together with the Thunderbolt. Yeah. That's the first time you see a PC and a Mac actually use the same thing.
Yeah, and really try to start standardizing the port, other than USB. But Macs definitely adopted Thunderbolts and that technology way faster. Now this is really the first time that a port is really designed to do everything. Okay. Which leads us to a topic that we have touched on.
The USB-C. 2014, you see introduction USB-C. This is where now all your phones are going, all your laptops, computers, tablets, everything is going to this new USB-C. You have a smaller connector, more universal. You still get your 10 gigabits per second. You have great speeds. All the audio, video, everything is going through one cable.
Yeah, and we now as we merge from 2014 through the era of about 2017 to 2019, we see how the connector of the USB really standardized on USB-C. Now, USB-C is a protocol, not the connector that people are like, it's got to be there, right? USB-C being the connector type on the USB platform now merges with Thunderbolt, and we see Thunderbolt 3.0 come out, now moving us up to that 40 gigabit per second, and we've touched on that kind of in the USB protocols. Yes. But this moves us up to 4K displays.
So this is great. You have your old square Thunderbolt 1, if you can remember that from 2011. They take that old with the new USB-C, the more ovalish style in the 14s, and now 17 through 19, 2018 will go right in the middle. You now have a universal Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt high-speed round cable. Looks like everything else. It's a great thing. You got nice PCI, you got nice graphics, you got your 4Ks, you got backwards compatibility now built in. I mean, this is like the bee's knees in the 2018.
It's now merging the two capabilities. We're merging the speed and the full all-in-one cable of Thunderbolt with the standardized connector of USB-C, and really just modernizing it all, right? So now we move from there, and we're going to step out of the Thunderbolt world, and we're going to go into the advancement of HDMI. This is where 2.0 comes out in 2020. It is, of course, now standardized at 4K at 60 hertz now instead of the 30. It goes to an 18 gigabit per second bandwidth. Of course, it's still really designed for audio and video. It's not designed for the same capabilities as Thunderbolt.
You gain your audio channels with the 2.0, though. So now all those surround sounds that everybody wants with that new USB, or HDMI USB, with the HDMI 2.0, you now get 32 channels. So that true Dolby Digital surround sound that everybody wants, you now officially get that.
You get it, and you can merge it between your devices. Now, obviously, some of your devices, you can still use the same connector. The connector is backwards compatible, Now, obviously, if you're using an older device that has the 1.0 ports, you're going to be stuck at the 1.0 standards. I mean, that's the same thing with USB-C. Though the port is potentially capable, it depends on what header you're actually plugged into for capabilities. Now, we move into modern day, right? HDMI 2.0 and DP 2.0.
You get the
HDMI 2.1, sorry, missay that, and DP 2.0, right? Exactly. We step into what the next generation looks like, which is a 48 gigabit per second bandwidth. Really stepping into that playing on the same speed as Thunderbolt 3.
Yes.
Of course, we're not going to touch on the fact that Thunderbolt 4 is out, but you get eARC and the ability for them to really start interacting with the devices, where eARC is actually providing the higher quality audio. You get the power on with the
power on's the big. I say all the TVs. You'll see that when people start using TVs for monitors, eARC is amazing. Now you can wake up your TV with your PC. You can wake everything up remotely.
You now have 8K, which is well known out there, but you also have all the way up to 10K worth of resolution capable on this.
Yeah, those 80 gigabits per second make a world of difference in the video quality, the speed, the quality. It's phenomenal now.
It's amazing to see where we've come. But it's really nice to see that we're really starting to standardize on connector type as well, instead of relying upon old pin connectors, which really, quite frankly, should have died off about 20 years ago. Now, there's people that will argue, hey, by the way, VGA is still stable, and it is.
It is.
To a specific resolution, absolutely. And part of that is that piece that we touched on, the HDCP, playing that role in causing those disconnects. Also, HDMI can be a finicky cable if it doesn't get a signal or connection just right. It's more likely to take and disconnect on that. And that's part of that digital functionality.
I'll say the different adapters, as you're going from an 8K down to a 4K back to an 8K, it'll shut the whole cable down. It won't even downsize anymore.
You gotta know what you're doing. The other piece that you see is if you're doing any type of large installs, HDMI, once you get past a certain distance, you have to switch over to single directional cables. You have to really look at your quality of cable that you're buying. Now, I'm not saying to do the whole run to Best Buy and buy, the $200 cable. That's by no means the recommendation here. It's just more look for the cables that use like a fiber back end, so that you're going end to end. Look for the ones that are using high quality components. Don't just go buy the Chinese brand that's $10 on Amazon.
And for the most part, the 25 to 35 feet, depending on the brands, as long as you're not going with the Chinese brand, they say they're bi-directional. A good cable is going to be a directional cable. Yeah. I've noticed that the better cables will have a source and have a display side,
especially as you get past that 30 foot mark.
Yeah. That makes a world of difference.
Now, for our home users, they're thinking, what would you use a 30-foot cable for in wall installations?
Yes, at home, not too much. But here, when you got to use walls, go across the room for a display, or you're trying to get multiple monitors from one side of the room to another side of a conference room, you're definitely going to hit that 35-foot without even sneezing.
You barely get from one side to the other, and you're ready pushing 50 foot. So
yeah, your gold plated, your higher quality cables, you'll really see that 8 or 16Ks and
that's really why some of these older buildings, why you see like VGA used in there, and it's because VGA was stable over these significant distances, and
there wasn't much thought to it. That you plugged it in, it worked.
Yeah,
or it didn't.
Well, exactly. It was just pushing electricity. There was no idea of, hey, by the way, we're pushing sound, we're pushing mass bandwidth. It's no different than any other of our cable standards.
Absolutely.
But we hope you guys learned something today. If you got a topic that you'd like for us to touch on, please let us know in the comments below.
And things you do, things you don't, eyes for dicks, drop them down below.
As always, like, subscribe, and have a good day.
Catch you guys next time.